Hello and thank you for joining us here at Dúchascopy TV again. Today I'm joined in the studio by Patrick Fennell, CEO of University of Business and International Studies here in Geneva to discuss the job opportunities in the crisis. So welcome today.
Thank you.
So first of all, Patrick, what are the main issues for graduates during this Eurozone crisis?
I would say we are faced to several issues. The first one is, of course, a shortage really of jobs for young graduates. I mean, you go out of a university with beautiful diploma, being in business, being in other areas, and despite your qualities and skills, you cannot find a job, any job, because companies are shrinking, are putting people on the street and not hiring enough people to absorb what comes out of the universities or what is on the job market. So that's first, of course, a problem. The second problem, of course, is that on the market you have an arrival, a massive arrival of people coming from other countries, looking exactly the same that what you would look here, but with different kind of diplomas, with different kind of experiences. So at the end of the day, it creates a lot of problems in markets like Spain or like France, Italy, also Greece. We don't speak about Greece.
And do you think a restructuring of the education system in some of the Eurozone countries is necessary?
Yes, but it won't be enough. The first restructuring we would need is to adapt what is done in the universities with what companies are really looking for. Because at the end of the day, what companies are looking for, being pharma companies, being banks or whatever, in the Eurozone is completely different from what universities have been built upon. So there is a huge gap, a mismatch between the expectations of companies and how universities in general prepare them. And that's a speech that you can get from any kind of human resource director or even CEOs of companies in Europe for the moment. So yes, universities need to restructure, but they need also to partner with companies to build programs and to build schedules that are adapted to what is really needed tomorrow, not today.
And where do you think graduates should go to seek more opportunities?
I would definitively go into two directions. The first one is the area, and the second one is the countries. In terms of countries, it's clear that generally speaking, the Eurozone is probably not offering a lot of opportunities today. But if you go to Africa, to some emerging countries in Asia, to Vietnam, to I wouldn't speak about Asia because that's a little bit different, but to Thailand and others, or in South America, people will find there plenty of opportunities, and if they can combine their European experience with some experience in those countries or some knowledge of those countries, they will be seen a little bit as unique in those countries. But the second area where they should definitively look at is the way industries are transforming themselves for the moment. Let's take two examples. If we take pharmaceuticals, in the past they had an army cohort of people going to see doctors, so that was a specific kind of sales. Nowadays all the big pharma companies are just firing those representatives and they go into an area which is completely new for them, which is marketing, which is competition with generics, and which is also multi-channel sales, because they have to deal with governments pushing the pressure to reduce the prices. They have to go to pharmacists. They take more and more power in the flow. So this opens new areas for pharmaceuticals where if you are seen as being able to do those kind of things, you have more chances to get a job there. But if you take banks, it's exactly the same. If you want to get some interest on your profile from a bank today, if you explain them what you've done during the last 10 years in a bank, I'm not sure that will be really interesting for them. But if you go into what a bank now needs to become to continue to play on the marketplace, that's a completely different story. And if you combine both, then you have interesting opportunities.
And do you think universities and Eurozone governments are doing enough to support graduates to find jobs in their area of study?
No, I wouldn't say so for the moment. I think it seems that a lot of people and a lot of universities are more concerned about issuing diploma, so they are in the what I call the diploma business. And I think universities should be in the job business. And there is very few links, very few partnerships between universities and, for example, unemployment agencies, or the agencies in different countries working to get jobs for people. That's too, I would say, that's too far from each other. Universities are more seen as academic, very far from the reality of the market, and especially of the job market. And if they offer something, most of the time it's project in companies or internships, but sometimes it's not enough. And I think there should be a real thinking there to close the gaps and rethink the whole system.
And what opportunities are there for business graduates right now?
If you already have a diploma, nothing you can do about what you've already learned. But in that case, I would definitely look into the new emerging markets. And Africa is a very good place. A lot of people don't think about that, but some economies in Africa are doing extremely well. Banks are doing extremely well and have a lot of possibilities in those countries. And that's probably an area where I would look at. Definitively.
And what are the best performing economies in Africa right now?
If you look at economies like Ghana, like Cameroon, like Senegal, those are strong countries with a lot of possibilities. Things are developing very well over there. And of course, I don't speak about South Africa, but I would definitively go into those areas.
And what are the main issues with employment in the financial sector at the moment?
The fact is that the financial sector is definitely in crisis. They have to cut costs all over the place, and the easiest way, of course, is to fire people. But I would say that there are two major areas where the issue sits with the financial sector. First, as I said a little bit earlier, the banks are going to restructure. They are going to reinvent themselves. They are going to reinvent their, what we call in French, their métier, what they do, what they can do. So definitively that will create changes also on the job market for the people who want to work there. And second, the banks have also a kind of issue of success planning, because a lot of managers in the traditional banks are now very close to the retirement, and there is not enough people to replace them in their position. So again, you have to combine both to see exactly what will happen tomorrow, but nobody knows exactly. Yes?
Thank you very much for coming in and sharing your perspective on this today.
My pleasure.
That is all we have time for right now, but do stay tuned for more exclusive interviews like this. Goodbye for now.